from the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus. This is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to 1680 The Crow. I'm Liam Higgs, and this is your 10 o'clock news update. But first, let's get right into it with our producer, Jagraj Lawley, who has our top stories for today.
Thanks, Liam. Today's lineup includes Philip's explorations of the most recent research on tuberculosis in the realm of public health. He uncovers the latest developments and findings, ensuring our listeners are well informed. Transitioning now, Jocelyn will be reporting live from BC Place, where the BC Sports Hall of Fame class of 2024 is set to be introduced. And for our For the Record segment, Melanie will be engaging in a book chat with Jennifer L. Bonnell, focusing on the history of BC wildlife. From groundbreaking health research to the excitement of a new sports hall class and a fascinating dive into the wildlife history, we've got you covered. Stay informed and entertained with our variety of stories. Back to you, Liam.
Thanks, Jag. Let's go over to Israel. Israel is rejecting calls for a ceasefire from the UN chief. Jordan Foreign Minister Aman Safadi says Arab leaders have failed the Palestinian people.
We should be outraged at failing the Palestinian people. We should be outraged at failing the Israeli people by not giving them the peace that they deserve. What we want is peace, peace that will fulfill the rights of the Palestinians to statehood, freedom, will ensure the security of Israel.
A quick update now from Louisiana. The death toll from a series of crashes has risen to 8 with 63 injured. ABC reporter Jim Ryan has the details.
Whether it's a foggy freeway in Louisiana,
where's your emergency? Hello?
an ice-covered HOV lane in Texas,
It was dark, it was freezing cold,
or a snow-blinded mountain pass in Colorado. Safety experts urge motorists to match their driving with the conditions. Build a bigger buffer around you and the traffic around you. And don't trust your car's technology solely to keep you out of an accident. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Let's check in with the president now. U.S. President Joe Biden is visiting with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese for a state visit. The two will be working on an economic development partnerships that are intended to bolster Pacific Island nations.
We have never been more committed than we are today. Australia and America stand ready to do the hard work, the historic work, to tackle the challenges we face.
Let's go back across the border now. Nearly 2 million Canadians visited a food bank in March, a record number for the food bank. Canadian press reporter Karen Rebo says budgets are getting squeezed by higher costs of living.
Food Banks Canada CEO Kirsten Beardsley says food bank usage is a quiet problem where many people suffer in silence.
Behind every single one of these numbers is a person. And I know what it takes for someone to get to the point where they're turning to a food bank for help.
She said only widespread public outrage will drive the political courage to create meaningful change. Political action, she says, means governments need to make long-term social policy investments, from action on affordable housing to increasing fixed income rates.
In other local news now, the Bank of Canada held its key interest rate steady at 5% today. Let's hear from Najoud Almasi, a reporter from the Canadian Press.
The Bank of Canada warned that it's prepared to increase rates further if necessary. The central bank says it's still concerned that price growth is easing too slowly and that the inflation rate has been volatile in recent months. Forecasters widely expected the rate hold as economic data suggests high interest rates are already causing an economic pullback. New economic projections released by the central bank suggest economic growth will continue to be weak well into next year before picking back up in late 2024. Inflation is still expected to return to the central bank's 2% target in 2025. However, the central bank says it expects inflation to be higher in the short term. Najoud Almasi, Canadian Press, Ottawa.
Let's get into some weather now. It's been an ugly few days in Vancouver, and it doesn't seem to be letting up, at least right away. Today we have some rain, and it's going to be cloudy once again. However, it does get nicer as the week goes on, so expect some sun later in the week with highs of 11 degrees. Thanks, everyone, for joining me this morning. I'm Liam Higgs. This was your 10 o'clock news update. Don't go too far, as our other wonderful host, Aaliyah Andrews, will be up in just a bit.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
You're listening to For the Record on 1680 The Crow. I'm Jagraj Lawley. Amateur sports are a lot more than just games. They're like the heartbeats of communities and the building blocks of individuals. They help you develop skills, deal with pressure, and become mentally tough. It's where you learn teamwork, get noticed, Spend time with those you admire and build your physical and mental strength for pro sport. Making mistakes in amateur sports is like practice for the pros, making the jump to the big leagues easier. To better understand this, I'm now joined by Steve Erickson, a local broadcaster and amateur sports expert. What are the main ways amateur sports can help create strong communities?
Amateur sports are what I call a real necessity in today's world. We've got so much unrest in the world that the only way people can either, get rid of their, all their frustrations, or just try and, go out and have fun and interact with each other is basically go out and play sports. And whether it's on a ball diamond or a lacrosse box or a hockey rink or a tennis court or even a pickle court, whatever it might be now, it's a way of one, especially in today's world, it's a way of relieving stress, but it's also a way of making new friendship and just sort of, being a real good part of society.
How do amateur sports promote personal growth and bring people together?
First thing amateur sports does from my perspective is it creates a healthy environment. And I've mentioned to you before that there's too much frustration and negativity in it. And if everybody could just sort of put that aside, sports helps grow the world all in a positive light. First off, healthy lifestyle, positive thoughts, positive teaching, and those three things alone can really, help the world take off and help athletes not just grow, but also develop their skills. And there can be too much pressure on some of the young athletes by some of the parents. And I see that, and I know you're just getting into it, but you'll see that throughout your career too. You'll see some of the pressure by the adults. And if the adults would only learn to let the kids be kids and develop at their own level, they'd be far better off.
What are some memorable stories that you witnessed throughout your career of how amateur sports have transformed individuals or communities?
I think the first thing, as far as communities and whether it's towns or city or villages or whatever it might be in Canada, I think the biggest thing is you have to have your local community or your council, your mayor and council behind you to really embrace it. Because if they don't take an active attention in, the amateur aspect of it and young sports or sports in general, it's going to be tough to develop and grow future citizens for the world. Because a prime example, a little while ago, I was talking to Ravi Kalan, who is our provincial right now in BC, our provincial housing minister. And I've got Ravi pretty much on speed dial because when Ravi was growing up in North Delta, he played field hockey. And we went out, and myself, Kevin Adlam with Eastlink TV, we actually went out, well, then it was Delta TV, but we actually went out and we did an interview with Ravi about, starting to play field hockey and what it was like. And he said that the one thing that he noticed from his career was that, first off, his parents were not pushy. They said to go out, play a sport, but whatever sport you want to play, have fun. And he said the other thing that he really remembers is that the coaches made it fun for him to do. He said, if he made a mistake, and he said, Lord knows, he said, when I was starting, he said, I made a lot of mistakes, but he said, having made the mistakes, he said, it helped me grow into a better person to learn that you can go through adverse problems and issues in your life. And as long as you focus and try and develop them to make them better, you can make them better.
What challenges do you think the amateur sport programs face, and how can they be overcome?
Challenges, number one, are pushy parents more than anything else. There's far too many parents push their young son or daughter, to try and escalate and become the number one superstar so that I guess they can make a pro level at whatever it might be, and they're going to buy mom or dad a brand new house and a new car. If the parents, again, would let the kids be kids, they'd be fine. Far too much pressure from the parents. Not a lot of pressure from aunts or uncles or grandparents and stuff like that, just the parents in general. But you will get the odd coach that is far too aggressive and overzealous, where they think that, they're playing, for example, a U14 hockey game or whatever it might be, and they think that that's their Stanley Cup final. And they put far too much pressure on the kids. I've seen them bench kids. So instead of, all the parents are paying equal amount of money. So instead of having the kids get a normal shift. And I understand about winning and losing and all that, but instead of having the parents or the young player, go out and play and have fun, and yeah, they mess up, but you got to play them equal. I don't care if you play one kid like 3 minutes and another kid 30 seconds. At least get them on the ice or get them on the pitch or whatever it might be. Get them involved in the game. And I guess between some of the pushy parents and some of the coaches that want to, make their mark in life and become like a pedestal, bearing person, I think that's where they're going to go.
What advice would you give to communities or organizations looking to support amateur sports?
Number one is get behind it, embrace it. Don't just sit back and say, "Well, yeah, that's a good idea." Ask questions. Like really ask a lot of questions. If you're an executive member or you're in a higher up level and somebody comes to you with an idea, for example, like pickleball, ask them about it. Ask them how they're going to develop it, how they're going to grow it, what their needs are, what pros and cons both days. What are some of the limitations that they're facing and where they think they can go off. But I think, if they do that, if the groups, the user groups, actually ask good questions, go into it. Don't just go into a meeting blind. You've got to go in with a whole pile of questions and get your questions answered. Don't leave a meeting with one or two questions unanswered, because then you're going home and somebody says, "Well, how did it go?" And you're going, "I think it went okay," but you're not sure. You have to be sure if you go into a meeting. So if you reach out to the community and you're honest with the community, don't try and tap dance around an issue. If there's a problem that you think that your sport might face, be honest and tell them that. Tell them, say, "Look, this is one of the issues we've heard from another group, but I think it will really work." Like I say, honesty pays dividends, and you're honest with them, they'll go to the moon and back for you. And it's no different from the new outdoor lacrosse box in Ladner here that they built a little while ago and put up. The city, there was a long, hard fight for that. We went through about 2 different mayors to try and get that lacrosse box put up, but the lacrosse community embraced it. They went to them and they said, "Look, we're prepared to do this, and this is what we would like you to do." And it wasn't just put the onus on them. They really worked together on it to make it work. And I think that's the big thing right there, is just be honest and work with each other.
My last question to you, what were the most inspiring moments, or not even inspiring, what were the craziest moments you witnessed during your broadcasting career in amateur sports?
Oh, craziest moments. Everything from going back, it seems like 100 years now, doing a game up in North Vancouver at the North Shore Winter Club when it used to be that, and doing a game, and no names mentioned, but having a young boy that was playing hockey and having his mother walk up and down the sidelines, and eventually she threw her camera on the ice because she was frustrated with the way the referee was, that I was making the calls and her camera come on the ice. And that was when they had film. So this is going back a few years, but it was interesting. That's number one. I think the other thing is the biggest thing that everybody has to understand more than anything else is that a game has to be played in a safe environment. Safety takes priority over winning or losing or anything. If it's a baseball game and a player gets hit with a ball, don't just say, "Well, get off the diamond and we're going to start the game." Make sure that young boy or girl is safe and that they're healthy, because the biggest job a referee has is to make sure that a player, any player of any sport, doesn't have to make a pit stop at the hospital to pick up their son or daughter on the way home. That's the biggest thing. Safety first and foremost. And I mean, I've seen people just flip right out because, little Johnny or Mary is not getting enough ice time or floor time or, whatever it might be. And the parents have to just let the kids be kids. But for the most part, if you joke and you're honest with a coach and you go over and you talk to him as an official, honestly speaking, you can sort of have fun with a coach. And if you're honest with him and sort of have a good, what I call a real easy peasy relationship with the coach, the coaches they'll buy you coffee after the game. Just be honest with them, and they'll work for you, because everybody makes mistakes. I mean, we sat in pro sports and we watch it in minor sports, so mistakes are going to happen. Doesn't matter what it is. And I mean, just be honest. But bottom line, have fun.
Appreciate you so much for taking the time to talk to me, Steve. All the best.
Anytime. And a big thing, just for all the parents, again, just, let the kids be kids. Let the kids grow up at their own space and time, because, life is short, and we see all the unrest we've got in the world right now where everybody's fighting and arguing with each other. And man, oh man, fingers crossed that it all goes away one day, because, the world's a beautiful place and there's a lot of people missing out in that. So for parents, let the kids be kids and let them grow up by themselves. And, you'll pay dividends. They'll pay dividends for you for that too. And they'll respect you a lot more.
That's all for today. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations on For the Record right here on 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Welcome, good morning, and thank you for joining us. My name is Aaliyah Andres, and here are your news headlines to 10:30. Starting quickly with some national news. Neither going up nor down, the Bank of Canada is trying to keep its key interest rates on hold at 5%. However, cautioned it is prepared to raise it again in the future to bring inflation down. Governor Tiff Macklem says the reason for freezing rates is to help with high cost of items and to allow the inflated economy to ease.
We held our policy rate steady today because monetary policy is working to cool the economy and relieve price pressures, and we wanted to give it time to do its job. But further easing in inflation is likely to be slow, and inflationary risks have increased.
The central bank's latest economic forecast suggests we're in for slower economic growth and higher inflation in the short term. Touching on last night's storm, BC Hydro has been working since Tuesday evening to restore power in over 16,000 customers, ranging from the Lower Mainland to Vancouver Island. Heavy wind and rain after a drought-ridden summer knocked down trees and branches affecting power lines. BC Hydro posting to Twitter late yesterday that crews will work through the night to make repairs and restore power. The company is also advising residents to prepare for more storm-related outages this fall and to have a safety kit with 72 hours of supplies in case of emergency. Also in Vancouver, passengers said they began messaging loved ones goodbye when a helicopter flight carrying 14 people was struck by lightning on Tuesday during the heavy storm. The vice president of Helijet, Rick Hill, said the aircraft was flying at approximately 1,200 meters when it was hit by a bolt en route to Victoria from Vancouver. Hill noted some damage was done to the plane, but the pilots aboard did, quote, a really fabulous job in handling the situation. A report going to the Lower Mainland Mayor's Council today reveals that the Transit Authority is facing a deficit of $4.3 billion. The report notes that the deficit appeared in the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, where there was a significant decline in ridership and resulted in suppressed fare revenue. While ridership has been recovering steadily, TransLink has been facing growing costs as a result of the inflationary pressures, particularly labor and construction costs. Moving to Ontario, where yesterday a shooting in Sault Ste. Marie left 5 dead, including 3 children. A woman who lives down the street from one of the homes where the homicide took place says she's holding her children closer. Erica Bonin says the neighborhood has felt deeply unsettled by what police are describing a crime of an intimate partner violence.
None of these deaths had to happen, so it was just... It's really like it hits close to home, not only being just down the road from us, but also having kids of our own.
Police found the bodies of those killed in 2 homes about 3 kilometers away from each other on Monday night. Moving into a national update, some visa processing services in India are resuming to Canada this week. The High Commission of India has confirmed that it will be processing a select range of visas, including entry, business, medical, and conference. This comes a month after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused the government of India of killing a Canadian Sikh leader. But despite the recent diplomatic tension, both countries seem to be moving toward common ground. And a quick update with Canada and the conflict in the Middle East. The government House leader, Karina Good, says Canada will continue to call for the release of hostages held by Hamas while advocating for humanitarian pauses to allow aid into the Gaza Strip. Heading into a meeting of the Liberal caucus, Good says she does not think that Canada needs to make it one or the other with its calls. But Conservative MP Marty Morantz says pauses shouldn't proceed until all hostages are released.
Certainly at some point, a pause might be a good idea, but not until all of the hostages are released. Hamas has it within their power to release all the hostages today if they really cared about the state of the Palestinian people.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said it's possible that 2 Canadians still reported missing could be among the 200 hostages held by Hamas. And for our local weather here, it is currently 8 degrees in Vancouver and cloudy with some sun shining through. And those were the news headlines to 10:30. I'm Aaliyah Andres. Thank you for tuning in to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.